Hey everyone, my name is Lasertrap, or at least that's what I'm known as online, and I recently set the first sub-30 minute time in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga DS, and I did something quite unusual for me, which was playing without commentary or anything. I just set up this cheap layout with, the top screen taking up as much as it could, and the bottom screen lower, and then weirdly stretched out splits that don't really fit in properly, but that's what I did. And it had been like a tough day of streaming this. I didn't really get any runs anywhere. I got my first cutscene crash on stream. And then later I found out that I'd been doing something wrong for the entire time that I've been running this game, which prompted me to go do this run. But I'm about to watch it and do a bit of an analysis of it, give you some insight as to what I'm doing, and hopefully give some helpful pointers as to what you can do if you're interested in running the game. So let's play through this now. So you have to show your new game screen select so that we can verify that you don't have the debug menu on or anything, which is built into the game. That's only a thing for story mode runs though. I have my timer count down from the beginning from story mode select on this level. It does mean that my timer is slightly inaccurate, and I will look into what the best thing to put in your timer is when you begin a run. And the time starts when you gain control in the level, which is right here. So I actually got stuck on the door right from the beginning, which is quite funny. So I got hit by a bullet there. That is a small time save you can do, little minor things. They can boost you slightly forwards, like it happened again there. Here, so you want to quickly change characters. Hold on, I'll pause it. You want to quickly change characters and activate that panel before this quick event cutscene happens, when you're kind of locked in place for a couple seconds, and then obviously just change characters when you come back. And I was able to get that in this run, which you can do decently enough if you're always sticking close to the wall, as close to the wall as possible. The droidicas can be a bit of a pain at times, but you want to do a Super Jedi Slam with them, character swap. I missed a strike there, but yeah, if you go back and forth between them, keeping them relatively close together, that's generally the best way to take them out. This room right here, same thing 3 times. Take them out with a Super Jedi Slam, then a quick character swap, and then use the force on that guy to get him out of the way. Now, I will make a quick pointer now to say that whenever you use the force in this run, or in any run of this game, you do have the option to either use the touchscreen or the A button, but the A button is very, very slow. I did a new strat here where you can jump on this little lamp, and then you can get up. You can actually jump over the fence without going up top first, but it is much harder, and I wasn't having much success with it. And into this last room, heading for the cutscene skip, which I believe I didn't get in this run actually. So you can skip cutscenes if you pause, as I'm trying here, on the last frame that you have control, which I must have been only 1 or 2 frames off with that pause there. It is very difficult, but there are some easier setups which we discovered quite recently actually, to skip cutscenes that we didn't even know we could skip. And I don't save the game there, but I want to pause now and just give you a quick pointer. So I exited the level after it was done, and that was done because, this category is about just beating the final level of every episode, which we can use as glitches. But when you're going through the menuing, and if you're worried about accidentally spamming through to continue story, just time out 7 presses, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's how many presses it takes until you get to the selection with continue story or exit. So let's keep going now. I take a trip to the custom character creator here. One tap of green, one tap on the on the right arrow, and then 2 more taps of green, and then 1 tap on the red, and you come back. You get this, you know, default character which has a blaster, and they just so happen to be able to double jump, which allows us to do this glitch. All it is just jump and shoot and jump and shoot and jump and shoot, and then we go into this level right here. The cutscene at the beginning of this level is very long, it's almost a minute, so I'll take this time to talk about like level order. In theory, the level order I did might actually be slower, but I like getting this level out of the way rather than leaving it till last, because it's got some of the hardest tricks in the run. It's also though it does have an easier cutscene skip to do compared to Darth Maul, which I like to end on. You gotta love LEGO cutscenes when they're mute. You know, I could mention something now, actually. Yeah, the level's starting. So, this is the only level in this particular run where we use character swaps, not only to cancel animations, but also to be able to gain a little bit of extra height, which we'll first see right here. I got it second try on this one, but you want to roughly jump just when all of your feet are off the little grey bit on the ground. Bobber here is RNG, basically, but, you know, you always want to make sure to land your shots. That little event cutscene when he's drained of all his health in this particular fight and runs away is always the same length no matter how close you are to the door, but you still want him to be close to the door so that you don't have to travel as far. Now, coming up here, I'll give you some little insight as to what I do. If you swap characters with your partner, so I'll be swapping to Lando in a moment, you will begin the next section as Luke rather than R2, which, you know, it can save you a little bit of time. But also something really cool that I'll do here is when I activate the ship flying, just about as it flies off the screen, I jump off so I can store Lando's invincibility frames for when he comes back later, and then you can get a cutscene skip into this section. So that was a bit complicated, but I think there is a room transition there, so when you see the room transition you can just hold start and skip the cutscene. Here I jump once towards the screen, swap to R2, and then take him off the edge. It's minimal time save, but R2 movement is so slow, as we'll see in this room. There's really no point in switching back to Luke. I'm just flying in time with the music instead. But there's no point in switching back to Luke there because you have to use a panel at the end of the room. Here, the best strat to do is get the helmet first. It will save you a lot of time over getting it after, even though you can do a cool out of bounds if you do it after. This is faster. It does, however, mean that you need to not take damage in this fight, which I've gotten relatively good at recently, but still. So lightsaber bosses, I want to let him attack, and then I can get him as he's attacking me, roughly. Then you fly over to the R2 panel, and I will do a single jump slam on him, just to not lose speed, and you can also do another one in the other direction, as I did there, to get sort of a free hit on him before he starts defending. You can sort of manipulate where Vader jumps on every third hit when he does this, by facing in that direction. I had a bit of trouble with it here, but generally you want him to go to the bottom, and on this last phase, if you can get him to go to the right, that is good, because you'll be doing a jump from the right here. So that jump right there, I did a buffer with an attack so that my character was just barely over the edge, but you can still double jump out of that. It's still quite tricky though, and quite tight timing. But you need the helmet for the end of that. Okay, Vader 2 skip. Nobody knows why it works, but if you double jump across, which is really easy, it just decides that the fight is over, and you can just go through the window. Vader 3 here, you can get a free hit on him almost instantly, he just doesn't defend that one. 3 hits, and then he jumps over, you do another buffer jump. I don't think you have to, but it's much easier, because there's some very difficult jumps even with buffering. 3 hits on him there. Now here, it's a bit weird, because I'll stop in this place, but As you move towards him and like let him do an attack, he'll jump away again. 4 hits to end the fight. So I was actually pressing start into this cutscene skip here, but I think if I had held it, I might have actually skipped this cutscene as well. It's a bit of a shame that it's so reliant on these really tight cutscene skip tricks, but as we're finding more and more consistent setups, it might be a more fun category to do. So as we come out here, we'll be heading back to the first section of the level again with Leia, Lando, Chewie, and now with R2 as well. So I'm going to switch to R2 right from the beginning, swap back to Chewie, just so that I have R2 in my party. And then as I swap to Lando here, I use the invincibility frames that I stored before going to the Vader section to cross the electric floor without R2 to save time on movement, and then I use R2 at the end. If you kind of clip yourself into the back corner of the shield there that's blocking the switch, you can pull it early without having to push the block. Yeah, that box with C-3PO's parts in it, for whatever reason, sometimes just refuses to break. Right here is a bit of a tricky section when you want to keep the helmet for later. If you kind of rub yourself up against the corner there, you can sort of manipulate the camera to stay in a place where the stormtroopers won't actually spawn. Now if they do spawn and they're off screen, they won't get hurt by the electric floor, and that's really dangerous. Let me pause for a second to talk about that. I shot 2 stormtroopers at this point so that there aren't as many shooting at me, but I don't want to shoot them all so that more enemies don't spawn. I also make sure that my partner's the character with the helmet so that for whatever reason I'm less likely to take damage and lose the helmet that way. Here's the most exciting trick of the run, really. You grapple up here, and then you have to make a bit of a tricky jump around this corner. It's quite tight, actually, but that's relatively fast. And then you character swap to gain height to get up onto the banner. You improperly load the room by holding left and jumping out of bounds, which you can do by holding up for just about a second. And once the room is improperly loaded, you character swap, and then for whatever reason, when you spawn back in this room, in the main room that you're meant to be in, some objects are unloaded, including the door which leads to the end of the level. So, this cutscene at the end of the level, most episodes have 2 cutscenes at the end of them. For a long time we didn't think we could skip the second, but in fact, in between the 2, there are a few frames of black, as you'll see right about now, and during that time you can just hold start, which it's in lag frames, so you can just basically buffer your frame perfect pause input. For whatever reason, it gives you 1 frame of control in between the 2 cutscenes, but with the lag frames it gives you just hold start, and you'll get it easily enough. So I go back into the custom character creator, and I'm spamming the bottom left of the touch screen so that I can just exit straight back out. Skipping a save prompt as well, which is something that I didn't know for years, and this was the time save that motivated me to do this from this day. Now I'm jumping into 3.5, which is the level named Darth Vader. It's a bit of an interesting level because if you die at any point, rather than just going back to roughly the last place you were standing, you go back to the beginning of the room you were in. But not much to say during the cutscene. There are some unique tricks in this level as well. We've got one of the only RTA viable slide clips, and it's actually quite easy. This room is just a case of hold right, however, and making the appropriate jump so that you don't fall in. This room right here, I mean, there's a timer counting down, but you don't have to worry about it. A good thing you can use the in-game timer for, though, is like a frame of reference for when you're exiting the room. The best time that we know we can currently get is a 35. So I double jump onto the middle pillar, and then up to the middle, and then just tap left a couple times and you'll get clipped through. That jump I just did there, I did a buffer. You actually don't have to. It's relatively easier than the ones in 5.5 to jump across, but I was already nervous on this pace. This is another case of just holding right when you can, but I don't like to hold right at the beginning of the room, otherwise I might fall off relatively easy. And if you die in this room, then you're going to lose a lot of time and it may as well be a reset. Because of this trick right here, so if you land on the edge of the platform where Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, you can just jump around some loading zone triggers, and then there's another like duplicate of Anakin right here who won't fight you, and you can deal damage to him, thus ending the level at 10 hits. So we used to be able to skip this cutscene here relatively easy, but it's only 10 seconds, and then when we discovered that you can skip the second cutscene as well, it's basically just opting to do that by pausing in the black screen there, holding start again. So that is a very big time save compared to what we used to do. I will mention that, it's possible to skip both at once, but when the first of the cutscene skips is frame perfect and you get it, the next of the skips will also be frame perfect. So you basically have to do a frame perfect pause and unpause. Which the best way to do that is like pressing a different button to start, because you can't really press start in successive frames. Jumping into the level named Count Dooku now. I'm always like wary of when the level begins, although I will sometimes miss the end of the cutscene. So basically just if you memorize what parts of the cutscene are at the end of it so that you can hold forward immediately, or whichever direction is appropriate, then you'll save time wherever you can. This track can be a bit dangerous, like right here Anakin probably got obsessed with the enemies a bit, but you just want to make sure both characters are standing on the buttons at both times to activate the platforms, get them out. You want to make sure you miss that button there on the floor. All you have to do is use the force on those two switches to enter this room. I look for a visual cue here, which is about when the room transition ends, or it's a quarter of a second or so after. I don't know exactly, but this is a very short cutscene if you miss the skip. And again, it's a frame perfect pause in this case. Dooku is another boss where you can just try and let him attack you and then attack him. I missed a hit there. But something I do here is I switch to Anakin so that when Yoda is added to the party, which is after the next cutscene, which I believe I skipped, I'll immediately be Yoda. So when this barrel hits him, you want to pause about then, which I got the cutscene skip, saves about 30 seconds, and then you can just get your hits on Dooku. With Yoda, it's not too bad. I went for some Dooku locks right here, which I actually got 2 in a row right there. They're a frame perfect trick that you can get. Did I say frame perfect? I meant 2 frame trick. You can get on Dooku before he starts attacking you, but I don't think I got any others here. With Yoda, you can just keep attacking, he'll go all over the place. We'll see why Yoda's so crucial in a second, though. Okay, so I tried pausing, but I didn't quite get the first cutscene skip. Again, there are 2 cutscenes at the end of this level. In this case, the first one is longer, so you want to be able to get that one if you can. But don't worry if you don't, because it's not too much longer, and you can always skip the other one to minimize on the time that you lose. So in this case, the black screen is going to come up shortly after Yoda is seen shaking his head in disbelief. Or there you go. Hold start through that, and just unpause, and boom. So I'm not going back to the custom character creator to jump into levels anymore. The switch to Anakin before you get Yoda in your party manipulates it so that you get Yoda in the cantina as well. So what we're doing here is we're going to clip through a door, which I'll explain after I do it. Did you see how crazy that was? So basically what you have to do is see that Yoda's attack patterns come in sets of 3. You get 1, 2, 3, and then he stops for a bit. So when we're moving with Yoda like in long distances we go 1, 2, 3, jump, attack, 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 jump. But against doors, the second attack, if you position it diagonal to the door, and the third attack you have facing towards the door, within 10 frames of pressing the attack button, you'll go right through. And as this level begins, I'll just pause it now to explain that my method of clipping quickly and like efficiently in the cantina is when I enter the episode room, I do attack, 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 jump, and then I set up for the door clip. The first attack that Yoda does not matter for the door clip. He'll be able to just clip if you land the second and third attack correctly. So now we're heading into the first ship level, and the focus for the moment is actually on the bottom screen. Just fly towards this torpedo target. It'll activate it. It'll give you an event cutscene showing you what you're meant to do. So now you fly back. Lovely stuff. You want to pick up 3 torpedoes so that you don't have to take a trip back to this particular generator. And I guess I decided to shoot in time for the music. You know, why not? It's a no commentary run that I was doing. You gotta make it entertaining, like more entertaining somehow. So we fly to the end of this room. Holding forward will help you stay fast. You want to shoot these targets like as close to them as possible because the torpedoes can move quite slowly. So in this room we will pick up 3 torpedoes once again, but sadly there are actually 4 targets at the end of this room, so we will have to take a trip back to the generator. There are a few things that can shoot you, like the rocket there, which will just randomly appear from either side sometimes, or it seems like it. If you want to play it safe, you might want to be heading into the next room with full health, but I know what I'm doing at this point with the next section. So even though there's only 1 target left, I'm actually going to be picking up 2 torpedoes here. This will allow me to take a torpedo to the end of the level, and, well, basically, it's about a 10 or so second time save from picking up the torpedoes there. So now that all these targets are destroyed, we'll go to the next room. If you can hold start during the room transition, once again there are lag frames to help you get through easily. So, the chase right here. It is an auto-scroller. If you die, you won't get set back, unless, of course, you're carrying the torpedo, in which case you'll need to do extra things in the next room. But on top of staying alive, I'm actually counting the rounds of bullets in order to time the cutscene skip at the end of this, and it's quite a long cutscene if you can do this. I'm counting 17 rounds of 5 bullets, and at the 18th round, it'll go 1, 2, 3, and on a little bit after the 3rd bullet, don't wait for the 4th, just a little bit after the 3rd bullet, you'll want to be timing your cutscene skip for around then. And as you'll see in a moment here, yeah, I got it. So before we do this, I want to give a little pointer, like if you're trying to count and you lose count, hearts will be there at 4, 8, 12, and 16 if you see hearts on the side. That's about a good frame of reference that I have used myself if I've lost count. And also, it is actually a set pattern that they're shooting every time, I'm fairly sure. At the very least at the beginning, if you hold to one side, you'll be able to safely avoid any shots. But right here, just carry the torpedo through to here. I went for the cutscene skip because it is faster to get this one. But again, not too much faster, and you have a backup. I never understood why they used this music in this cutscene. As the music loops, that's another good cue you can use there for if you're unsure on where the black will be. So now we're still Yoda because it was a ship level. You usually get put out with the same characters that you've just been using, but there are none in a ship level, so that's why it's important to put the 2 ship levels like right after Count Dooku, where we actually get Yoda. Level order isn't too important, but I think you're always gonna be seeing Dooku followed by the 2 ship levels, whichever order you do. This introduction cutscene is another one that's almost a minute long. So, grab some coffee. Well, basically, you might not actually have that much time. It would probably be a good idea, though, for me to, as we're going into this, talk about the TIE fighter positions, and I can try and give you some insight on where they are. Ooh, I guess my mouse came in the video there. The TIE fighters here, you need to destroy them to get your torpedoes in this level to take down the Star Destroyers. The first ones there will be just to the left of the Star Destroyer. The next one will be, you can see them there, they're flying over the wing. They're actually roughly always on the same line. I think they may even be always on the same line, so just remember that. But yeah, don't go too far to the left if you want to get those TIE fighters, because you can fly too far, well, to either side really, and miss them. I like to do barrel roll from the right, just to be sure that I'm on the right side, to be able to reach those TIE fighters there. Now you see me pausing there. My cue for that one is actually with audio. It's shortly after you hear the 4th explosion as that Star Destroyer goes down. This cutscene is not too long, it's like 15, maybe 20 seconds. I haven't been paying too much attention. But yeah. For the moment here, we're just flying forwards and, just shooting. Not only so that we can get torpedoes from the TIE fighters, but also so that they don't shoot you. Dying isn't super costly, but, it will lose you a couple seconds either way. Now, for the longest of times, so many speedrunners didn't know about the barrel roll feature, which I'm using to go quickly left to right. All you have to do is just tap the shoulder buttons. Now once again, there are 4 torpedo targets to destroy here, unfortunately. I like to leave the one at the front so that I can quickly escape, and then deal with the 3 around the back and the sides. I think yeah, he shot me there. So these things will actually one-hit kill you, as you saw twice. So just be mindful of where your torpedoes are if that happens, because you don't want to lose your valuable torpedoes. You can fly off screen as long as your torpedo is locking onto the target there. It should be able to count it off screen. Now you just fly back, get another torpedo from the TIE fighter. And, well, really, as soon as you see the target on screen, you can then just turn around. You should really be getting a high 8, but I mean, I guess I was just nervous. Now right here is actually in theory faster by a few frames each time you get hit by a bullet, because it'll boost you slightly forwards, and the auto-scroller just continues no matter what. But I was nervous of a cutscene crash that I had experienced earlier this day, or basically right at the beginning of this cutscene right here, it just crashed. And luckily it didn't happen this time, but I was very nervous about that on this run. Once again, here this is a case of the second cutscene is much longer, so it's better to take this free skip. You're saving about 25 seconds over if you just skip the first one. And now we're going into the last level. I was pretty proud of how all my Yoda clips in this run were actually first try, and I was able to do the optimal setup that I developed for all of them as well. One diagonal, and then within 10 frames of pressing attack on the third one that he does, on the third swing, hold towards the door, you'll go right through. Now I am planning on adding this to the guide section because my written guide is becoming more and more outdated, and I was trying to keep track of updating it, but it's quite hard. However, if you're finding my very quickly taught explanations quite hard to follow, there will be plenty of stuff in that guide that you can reference if you need to. Right here, just deflecting the blaster bolts right back at the battle droids. There's nothing you can do to speed this up in story mode. Just, you know, make sure you're as close to the edge as you can, just to save those frames, really. Third round of this. And as soon as you get that hit, you can immediately use the force on the bridge to bring it down. It's quite nice for me to go through this level lost now, because there isn't really too much that can go wrong. Now you don't need to use the force on this first platform here, you can just do a relatively well-timed double jump, but it's not that tricky. This next one here, though, you do need to. In story mode, at least. This room here, you just need to kill the 2 battle droids at the end of the room. I think they might be commander droids. I like to go to the left first just because you spawn into the room slightly on the left, so it saves slightly marginal time, you know, just the walking distance. Best to take them out with the force. I think these guys might actually take 2 hits, but those ones there, I like to kill them both because you will most likely lose time if you don't, just because Obi-Wan will get distracted. And I think I talked over it, but I listened to an audio cue there for when Obi-Wan steps on the other button, so that I can just immediately jump towards this. This room is lovingly dubbed the Room of Pointlessness. Nothing you can do to speed it up here as well. Now going into the mole fight, I actually probably had a chance to sub 29 if my mole fight had been better. Like, I'm not frustrated by it, but, you know, what could have been. The reason for that is because I attempted a different strat, which, you know, I'd never actually done before, where you just walk around to try and manipulate where he is. But the trouble I was having was the camera angle, and you can see here I'm just missing a lot of hits. But you want to walk just to this side of the room. Actually, that wasn't too slow. But you never know. Oh yeah, I took a hit there. Yeah, it probably could have been a 28 if it had been a better fight. So maybe I should have stuck to what I had known and, you know, kept the camera angles that I liked. Because I'm struggling to get hits here as well. But yeah, it's really hard to end the timer at the right point in this one, and Shemcat, the other moderator, actually verified this as a 2904 because I not only ended late, but I also started early. Time, of course, I should mention, time ends when you lose control of your character, and it cuts to the cutscene. I actually shouted yes, even though I wasn't recording with microphone or anything, I wasn't streaming. It's so unusual. Like, this is the first time I've ever really felt like doing a no commentary, just recording a run. I guess it was worth it though, but I don't want to make it a habit either. So, I hope you enjoyed my commentary and analysis. Hopefully it could even be helpful to you if you want to get into running this game. We do have a LEGO Discord with a dedicated Complete Saga DS channel if you have any more questions. But yeah, I'm hoping to put this up on the guide section for Complete Saga DS. And like, as something a bit more new than my written guide. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and happy speedrunning.